Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I think we're okay. I think we're good.
Yeah, I think we're okay. All right, so we are live. You're not in here yet. You could have left that on because you could have read the comments from there.
I don't think the comments will be showing up on this anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You can't go on Facebook and...
I can.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everybody so much for your patience. That was super embarrassing, and you know, we kind of bragged about how we're upgrading our system, and well, there you go. That was the upgrade. So just to check final one more time, we are back on our phone with our pretty decent mic. And just want to make sure that we're not echoing or anything. So can you all hear us okay? Feel free to comment if there is any issue with hearing us. Okay, I think someone just did a thumbs up sign. Okay, so we'll start. Are you feeling okay, hon?
Yeah.
All right. So how are you all? We are, wow, we're fumbling through everything. And I don't know if you saw, Isaac actually turned on the live button as we were like trying to switch our system. And it was, you saw our messy living room and everything. But yeah, we're going to just brush this aside and get started with our 15 minutes of devotional or worship time, 15 minutes late. Thank you so much for joining us. Tonight, we are going to make it very interactive, kind of like the last time we did when I asked you a question, who do you think God is? Like, what is God to you, ... And you filled in the blanks, and it was really fun. So today we're going to talk about remembering, and remembering this time, remembering the season of quarantine, because I think the President of the United States announced that we're going to kind of start to ease things back and start reopening things, and I think Ohio is following suit, and therefore we will be reopening. We don't know what that means exactly, but we'll be reopening things slowly by May 1st, and that's like, wow, that's really soon. Mm-hmm. That's like next week, right? So I wanted to, we spent the last month trying to encourage those people, because everything happened so fast. One day we were doing life normally, and the next day we were working from home. Kids are not going to school, and everything just happened so fast. So we just wanted to spend some time at 10 p.m. and encourage you all. But as things are moving and changing, and it seems like it may change a little bit fast, we want to spend the next month or so just setting the right path for you to find normal life, and not to forget what happened in the last month. So tonight we want to talk about remembering, like I said, and I want to ask you the question, and please comment away. What will you remember from this season, from the last month, March until April? And those of you who are watching outside of the US, your quarantine may have started a lot earlier than us. So what will you remember? What will you take away? Many years later, when our kids ask us, Mom, what happened? Do you remember? Were you there? What do you remember from that time? So to start things off, what will you remember? What will you take away, Isaac, from this time?
Definitely God revealing to me my lack of patience, and just appreciation for people who really help us out. Like, I have such a deep appreciation for teachers, for daycare workers. I'll never take them for granted again. Such an appreciation for single moms or full-time parents. Never take them for granted again. Yeah, just how weak I am and how strong some other people are. Really, that was one big lesson for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll remember that humans are stronger than what we thought, stronger than what you believed. We are able to do a lot more than what we thought we could handle. So those are the things that I'm going to take away, and I'm still going to be pondering a lot on everything that happened and how does this season apply to our next season, because we're going to be talking a lot about how do we do church from now, right? I know that you and your church planter friends have been talking a lot about that.
Oh yeah. I mean, things are not going to be normal. Well, they're not going to be exactly the same as what they were before.
Yeah, for sure.
We will get to some sense of normalcy, but it will be a new normal. It won't be the old normal.
Yeah. No, that's good. So what will you remember from this season? Can you type it away, and then we will chat with you and we'll hear your response. But before that, we're going to continue to talk about remembering. We're going to sing about a song of remembering. But you're going to tell us about spiritual markers and...
Yeah. So Henry Blackaby, who's one of my favorite authors, and he's the author of the book Experiencing God, which is one of the best books out there on just life, the Christian life, and how to hear God's voice. He has so many good points in that book. One of the points he talks about is spiritual markers, and so he speaks from Joshua chapter 4. I'm just going to read Joshua chapter 4, verses 1 to 7. And this is immediately after Joshua led Israel across the Jordan River into the Promised Land. Okay. When all the nation had finished passing over the Jordan, the Lord said to Joshua, "Take 12 men from the people, from each tribe a man, and command them, saying, Take 12 stones from here out of the midst of the Jordan, from the very place where the priest's feet stood firmly, and bring them over, and you will lay them down in the place where you lodged tonight." Then Joshua called the 12 men from the people of Israel, whom he had appointed, a man from each tribe. And Joshua said to them, "Pass on before the ark of the Lord your God in the midst of the Jordan, and take up each of you a stone upon his shoulder, according to the number of the tribes of the people of Israel, that this may be a sign among you. Then when your children ask in time to come, 'What do these stones mean?' then you shall tell them that the waters of the Jordan were cut off before the ark of the covenant of the Lord. When it passed over the Jordan, the waters of the Jordan were cut off. So these stones shall be to the people of Israel a memorial forever." And what Blackaby says is, we all have these spiritual stones or spiritual markers in our lives. What is a spiritual marker? It is a time when God did something so big, something so significant that it changed the course of your life, or it changed your character or your view in some way. Whenever God does something like that, he changes you, but he also reveals something about himself. So he might reveal to you at that moment, "I am the Lord your provider," or "I am the Lord your judge," or "I am the Lord your healer," or your defender, something like that. God always reveals himself when he moves powerfully. And so the point is, we need to remember these spiritual markers. We have to set up stones in our mind, either by just journaling or whatever way we can remember. And in times of trouble or doubt, we have to think back upon those things. Because when you look at those stones, it tells you where you came from, it tells you your journey, how you got to where you are, and it also reminds you of God's faithfulness and his, how he revealed himself to you in the past. And so that's really important that we're able to do that.
Yeah. Along with that, Isaac kind of brought the topic of remembering on a positive note so that we could remember where we were, remember your markers, remember how God moved, so that you can continue your path, right? But for me, I'm going to talk about how we are so prone to wander, and that's, I love those words. I'm going to share that a little bit later from the song, Come Thou Fount. We are, as human beings, we are so forgetful. We are going to forget about the season very, very quickly. We are going to be swamped by life again, your busyness of work, even ministry, family, and we are going to forget. And God knows that. He made us. He knows how much we are so forgetful. So I'm just going to talk about when God constantly reminds Moses to tell the Israelites to remember him. And I'm talking about the time when Moses took Israel out of Egypt when they were in bondage, in slavery. Moses took them out. And throughout the whole journey into the desert, God constantly tells Moses, tell your sons and daughters what I did for you in Egypt. What I did, I split the sea wide open. And not only that, I gave you water from rock. I gave you food from the sky and from the ground. And he constantly tells Moses that you must tell your children to remember me because they're going to forget. Mm-hmm. And Moses is always reminding his people, always reminding the Israelites what God did. Remember, our God split the Red Sea so that you can walk right through it. And one of the funnier parts where for me I found it really interesting was in Exodus 16 when God tells Moses to save some manna. Now manna was the type of food that God provided for the Israelites when they're in the desert, and they were complaining. They were complaining all the time because they're so hungry. And God provided this magical heavenly bread from the ground. And they were able to eat that every day because they needed bread. They needed, some kind of carbs. Right? So God tells Moses, he says, why don't you put a little bit of that manna in a jar so that you can save it, and then you can show it to the people in case in the future they doubt you and they ask you questions. Nah, God did not do that. God didn't provide that manna. So God tells him to save some manna in a jar. Now don't ask how that manna was, God was going to preserve that. I mean, he's God, he can do anything. And I always found that to be quite amusing to me because God knows how forgetful, how silly, how skeptical we are. So he tells Moses to do something so silly as to save a piece of food in a jar. Okay, and I think that was in the Ark of the Covenant, right? They carried that around with them. So that's one of the ways that God told people, build spiritual markers to remember what God did to you. But God also constantly reminds us, remember what I did to you. Because if we don't remember, and if we don't make the effort, and if we don't seek to see what God has done for us in this 1 month, right? I know God has spoken to you in so many ways, in different ways, and he has told you many new things that you were ignoring in the past. Because God knows that we're going to forget. And the verse that I'm going to leave you off with, this is not to scare you, but this is meant to put all of us in our place and know how forgetful we are. And it's from Psalm 106:20. And it says and we're talking about the Israelites right now, they exchanged the glory of God for the image of an ox that eats grass. And this is talking about when the Israelites built an idol made with gold, and they made a golden calf, and they danced and worshipped around it. And this was just not too long ago after they crossed the Red Sea on dry land. And they had built an idol because they forgot the glory of God. And when I read that, I thought, that is me. That is me forgetting God, who God is, and exchanging his marvelous glory, how just wonderful and beautiful God is, exchanging that for garbage of this world. And I have done that over and over again. So, brothers and sisters, I want to remind you all, I'm going to forget. And that's why I have to constantly seek God, ask God to remind me. Because soon I'm going to exchange God's glory for an ox that eats grass. How silly does it sound? But they did that, right? And somehow later on we convince ourselves that this ox is good. Somehow we do that. So how do we do this? Let's first admit that we are forgetful. I'm going to admit it first and say, I forget, and I forget how wonderful God is. And I turn to the garbage of this, the garbage, it's not a plural, right? Garbage of this world. I'm going to admit that, and I'm going to continue to fight to remember and constantly remind each other. Ask your friends, journal these things down, talk to your friends later on and say, hey, remember when we talked about this on March 20th and how God told me to live this life? Well, I haven't lived that lifestyle. Can you keep me accountable? So let's find our accountability partners and live that life. Because the song that we're going to end with today is just the last few lines of the hymn "Come Thou Fount," and I love this, and let this just sink in your heart. And it says, "Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it. Prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart. Oh, take it and seal it. Seal it for thy courts above." Mm-hmm. This is a prayer. This is a cry from a man who knows how forgetful they are, who knows that they will trade God's glory for the garbage of this world. So we're going to sing one song and end with that. The first song we're going to sing is called Remembrance, and we've done the bridge of this song a while ago, but we're going to sing the entire song, and it's a great song from Hillsong. And we're going to end with "Prone to Wander, Lord, I Feel It." So worship with us. The lyrics have been commented. And yeah, it's E flat.
Here's my heart, Lord. Take it, seal it for thy courts above.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you for watching us. Thank you for bearing through this craziness, and thank you for remembering with us. Let's continue to ponder upon everything that God has done for us throughout the last month, because brothers and sisters, there is more. There is so much more. He wants to use this season as a springboard to help you to leap to the next season in your life, and there's so much excitement. So let's not settle for the garbage of this world. Let's not settle for the golden calf.
Amen.
Amen. Have a great night. Have a wonderful Sunday service. As we do every Saturday night, we do have an interactive Bible study at Chroma Church tomorrow, and it's going to be at 1 p.m. All the instructions and the link to our Zoom meeting is in our Chroma page. So if you're following us, check it out. Join us at 1 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be there.
We'd love to see you.
Yeah, we'd love to get to know you more through Bible study. Have a great night.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Bye. Bye, Dorothy. Thanks for watching.